In this demonstration session, I will try to guide you through the tool's main features and also to talk about how it could support regional and territorial analysis and also decision making by offering an easy access to spatial data. So you can find the viewer in the main web page of the project. If you go to the RUSTIK web page, then you can see in here a specific section for the data viewer. This is the home screen of the viewer, and if you go down, you will be able to see the description of what is the RUSTIK Data Viewer and also the type of data sources that it is containing. As I explained before, it is integrating the data from European agencies and programs, so more statistical and Earth observation data. It also includes data from the Rural Observatory, as we were saying. And then also we were trying to include data from private operators and also data from web scraping. In this case, we have data from web scraping specifically for the different living labs. And then we also have the data that has been produced by the living labs in the experimentation process. In that sense, this main section will be improved and further constructed in the following months as the living labs have just finalized their experimentations, and we will be now including the data from their specific cases. And here we have also an explanation of the functionalities. But I will go directly to the viewer. I recommend you to open the viewer by clicking in here. I mean, you can also use it in this window, but it is better for the functionalities to open it in the original website. So as I explained earlier in the presentation, the viewer is multi-layered, and this means that it contains two different main sections. We have first the European-wide data. This is the European core level system, which includes the data covering all Europe. And then we have the Living Labs label with the data that each of the different living labs have gathered during their experimentation processes. So starting from the general information and structure, here we have an administrative section that displays the different territorial units. So we have the LAU NATS 3, NATS 2, NATS 1. And we have also the location of the different living labs in the project. I will not open this as it's not very interesting information, but it is useful for comparing the different geographical boundaries. And then inside of the European-wide data, we have the different sections. As you can see, the viewer is designed to be intuitive. So we have the map that occupies the main part of the screen, and then we have the data layers in here inside of the content panel, and we have in the left the different functionalities. Here the most important functionalities are the zoom in and the zoom out. So zoom in and zoom out. And in here you can go to the, so if I zoom in and move the map by clicking here, I can go to the main initial beginning picture. So if we begin exploring the European data, we will see that inside this section we have the three different transitions, which are the main big topics of the RUSTIK project. And then inside of them, we have different subsections and categories. So inside of the socio-economic transition, for example, we have these different topics and information: demographics and population, social welfare and inclusion, facilities and community development, employment and economic development, and community engagement and governance. And inside of them, in some cases, we have subcategories, and then already we have the indicators. For the population, we have the different indicators for the different years, and then we also have the population growth and the population density in here. I will showcase this indicator. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time because there's a lot of information contained in each of the indicators. And for each of the different layers, you can access here the detailed information. Now it is charging. So I don't know, for example, if we go to Spain, for example, the coastal areas and capital cities concentrate much of the population, while, as you can see, the inner areas are more sparsely populated. So for every layer, you can consult here in the information, you can consult the source, the organization, the year, and then you have the source data access in which you can download the information. And we have also a caption for each of the layers in which it explains, it's a description of the type of indicator. And here we have the legends. And so this is the population density. As you can see, we can zoom in and have greater detail in the data. And then I will be closing information because if not, it gets more complicated to understand. In the social and welfare and inclusion, we have some data related to gender, so women employment proportion, women and unemployment difference, also some indexes that describe the inequalities in the access. It's in the access of socioeconomic indicators in this case. These indicators come from Eurostat. For example, we can take a look at this one. And then we have also indicators for migration, so the crude rate of net migration, and we have the migration population proportion. This for the social welfare and inclusion. And then we have here in the facilities and community development interesting indicators in regards to the access to the different public equipments and facilities. For example, here, if we go to, you can see you have a lot of categories for equipments and facilities. If we go to primary schools, for example, we can see where the schools located all over Europe. Now the points will get smaller. You can see here the distribution of the different points. This information comes from another SPON project, which is the Prophecy project. And this is quite interesting because we were able to upload not only the points, but also the distance to primary schools and the distance to all these different types of equipments and accessibility centers. Here you have the image, and as you go deeper, then the layer is actually updated and you can see it better. And this is for primary schools. We have this information for secondary schools, hospitals, doctors, pharmacies, train stations, banks, retail shops, and cinemas. We have also the indicators related to accessibility from OpenStreetMaps calculated for the different living labs in this category. And then we also have some indicators related to employment and economic development, so job accessibility, the different proportions of workers for the different sectors. We have also, in regards to economic activity, the tourism capacity in rooms per law 2 that was referenced by I think, Jan. And this is this one. This comes from Eurostat. And this is the number of tourist rooms available per municipal unit. And then we also have the GDP per capita. And if we go in the education category, we have the different levels of school education, and we have also information in regards to the different land uses. So the forest proportion of land, the built proportion of land, and the agricultural proportion of land. And then we have, I think, one indicator for the governance side, which is the quality of government index, which does not have a great granularity, but it's interesting because it's an indicator that it's measuring the quality of the governments in the different regions. It's in NUTS 2. I will close this socioeconomic transition. And going down to the environmental transition, we have here several indicators that are interesting. We have included several rasters. We have, for example, for climate resilience, the projected change in meteorological forest fire danger, which comes from, this is from the John Research Center. And then we also have the average meteorological forest fire danger in this period. And we also have the different areas that have been burned by the wildfires. In regards to precipitation, we have several indicators here. This one is also quite interesting. This is the drought frequency change according to this SAP scenario. And we have here the two different scenarios that are being studied in the IPCC studios. And then in regard to natural resources and heritage conservation, we have data on the forest type, the tree cover density, the tree cover change mask, the dominant leaf type. Here we can see, for example, it's a pan-European level indicator showcasing the tree cover density in a range from 0 to 100. And then for the protected areas, we have the Natura 2000 protected areas, the Emerald protected areas, and also the mountain areas. And then going to the land cover and land use, here we have quite a lot of data. In regards to land cover, we have urban atlas and the coastal zones and land cover land use. We have for the built up area, the imperviousness and other indicators related to the urbanization and artificialization processes. We have also some indicators on imperviousness and also on grassland in here. So we have the grassland change, for example. And we have, for agriculture, the agricultural areas. So sometimes you get lost. Perfect. I will close everything. And then in regards to the environmental indicators, we have indicators in the water category or topic, which are, for example, the riparian zones and the water and wetness status. These are the areas that have more biodiversity values in the river or hydro areas. And then we have also the air quality for different, for ozone, PM10 and PM2.5. This one always takes a little bit to charge. We have here, so it is indicating the concentration of ozone in the air. This always takes a little bit of while it charges. Then we have also some indicators for energy. Specifically, we have the solar production, the onshore production, and the hydropower production. These indicators come from the from Eurostat, and I think they are also included in the rural observatory. I don't know why now it is not charging this one, but it should. And then for the digital transition, we don't have that much data available. For the moment, we have the access to highest speed mobile network and the access to highest speed fixed network. I will close this one because it doesn't seem to work. And we are trying to find new data for the digital infrastructure and also for the digital services. In this sense, the indicators that the GRC is working now, for example, in relation to the startups, as Simone was saying, we're also they should be included because they are very interesting once we have them. And this would be
Thank you.
the detailed datasets for the European wide level data. If we have still 2 minutes, maybe I can show now the example for the Uzona Living Lab and the data they have. It's just one minute.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. It's really interesting, so no
Yeah,
worries.
so if we go into a deeper level, we will see that in Ozona they have worked, as you have seen, to create an index of quality of life. So they have very detailed data in order to assess the different categories or topics that should be considered in regards to the quality of life of the different areas of the town. Here we had included some of the indicators they have been working on. These are the cultural activities in the main region. Then we also have the cultural heat map that has been designed consider the different cultural points of interest. It also takes a little bit of time. And then the same has been done for the touristic activities and for the commercial activities and also for the administrative activities. And if we go deeper, we also have included here, they have included the energy efficiency certification and also indicators on the commercial vitality of the region. And then we also have some indicators on the acoustic pollution that they are facing in the different areas of the town. Okay, so here we can see, for example, the energy certification, which is, I think they only had it in one specific area with charging.
Marta, while
Yeah.
the data is charging, we have
Yeah.
a question also in the chat that you may want to reply. Someone is
Yeah.
wondering if you can extract also the data and the maps, or if it's mostly for visualization online.
You can extract the data by clicking, so you can download the data in the original sources, but we have made it easier to access those sources. So here in the information, you can source the data access, and it's specifically the website where you can download the data. But then in the case of the living labs, the data is not downloadable in this small one. We need to see if it's useful actually to have this data downloadable. And now, 1 second, it's not charging today. It charged before, but now we cannot see it. Yeah, I'm sorry, but maybe while it's charging, we wanted also to say that we are trying to see or to reflect on how this type of tools can be used for policy making and upscaling. At first, at European level, we think that the RUSTIK Viewer can bring, I mean, it brings together harmonized data across the multiple countries in Europe, and also it allows the policymakers to make comparisons between the rural and urban areas and to see if there are any trends emerging across the different regions. And then also at the local level, the living labs demonstrate with their data that how customized data collection and local experimentation can enrich this broader picture. So the viewer is showing this bottom-up data integrated with the scaling up of the same data, and we believe that these local experiments can inspire these regional and national programs, and they can also highlight the gaps that can inform targeted investments or policy measures. And now we can see the data. These are, for example, the energy efficient certifications for the different buildings. So as you can see, we have very concrete and local information for this living lab. And what we are doing now is to integrate the same type of data for the other living labs and to try to reflect the experiments that they have been working on so that these experiments can be presented and explained using this viewer. And I think that's all from my side. I have already talked too much today.
Thank you very much, Marta. Indeed, you were really speaking a lot today, but for the best things, I think we can all bring valuable information with the tool. I'm now opening the floor if anyone wants to ask you a question before I wrap up the webinar, since it's already almost 5. I think your presentation was pretty clear, so we also tackled a lot of issues and questions before in the panel. But if anyone wants to step in now, this is the last chance, even for other speaker. Yeah, Isabelle Deve, I see you're raising your hand.
Sorry, do you hear me? Yes. Okay, I didn't find the hand on the screen. So first of all, thanks very much, because it was very, very interesting. And as I said before in the chat, I could see also in more concrete application, no, of the work that you have done. I'm just relying to the question I posted on the post, because it's directly linked to the illustration made previously. So my question is whether for a non-living lab, an outsider, let's say a local authority, for instance, outside of your project, if it will be possible also to insert the data of their own local context into the viewer, or if it's not foreseen in the remit of the project, just to see if this can be scalable to another local context. I think it's one of, let's say, of the purpose also to scale up the initiative. Thank you.
That's interesting. No, so the different regions can access the platform and see how the data for the European-wide level is in their specific region, but they cannot upload their own data in order to see it displayed in the viewer. They will need to use tools. Of course, when we are documenting everything, we are also talking about tools for displaying or analyzing data, and they can use this information that is publicly available for their own purposes. And also they can see the examples of the living labs from RUSTIK and get inspired, let's say.
Okay, maybe speaking about the dissemination and exploitation after the project, I don't know, maybe you already planned this, but is it possible to deliver a sort of handbook or something, at least for developers or researchers that could follow up in the future and replicate what you have done for the living labs? Because I think it's very relevant what you have implemented and tested for your living lab. So maybe in terms of methodology, if something can be handed over at the end of the project for other researchers.
I don't know, Simone, if you want to answer, but we are working now. We are starting a process of reflection and trying to create documentation that works like a guide or a handbook, as you were saying, for the different research purposes and the different type of agents. So yes, we will be working specifically on this during the next few months and the next year, actually. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question, Isabelle Deve. We will also develop some good practice brief, so we can also orient them to be able to be used after the project on how to set up a living lab or specific method that were used during the project and that can be used after the end of the project. So I think they can be also really, really useful for other stakeholders. Is there any other question or in the chat? I cannot see it now. I don't think so. And that's perfect because we are right on time. So thank you very much for the good presentation, for engaging with the speakers, for sharing your thoughts, for actually, I think we had a great mix between research and on-the-ground experience. And I really hope that everyone leaves today with some inspiration and perhaps a few new ideas to take back to your region, organization, or community. We will share the presentation of the speaker after the webinar. And it's already a bit early, but I'm already teasing a bit that we'll have the final conference quite soon, so next year, but still a lot of insight from the project will be ready by then, bringing policy recommendation at EU, but also at local level. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, I wish you really a great end of the day. Thank you again to all the participants, to all the audience, and to all the speakers that joined us today. And that's it. I hope you had a great afternoon. Thank you.